Hello again to another Agricolor Reaction. Today we have another date night with Eric. Yay! And we're watching
why Paris tore down a highway to build a tram from Sensato.
Let's just jump into it and let's see. And maybe we're gonna be in that area.
If you've been around any sort of urban planning content or advocacy online, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, or wherever, then you've probably come across the #1 boogeyman for urbanists. Okay, actually, it's not that boogeyman. The one I'm talking about is highways. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of information and knowledge shared about highways, their construction, and their impact on the urban fabric of neighborhoods and cities. A lot of this information has focused on how highway building in the post-war US really f***ed up cities and was tied to extremely racist policies. So, whenever I see a project to tear down a highway, I get hyped.
Jeez.
This is the A186.
What was that about?
Just outside of
I
Paris.
think that was a sports
Something
one.
else, right?
Yeah, it wasn't something else that he just put it onto it, isn't it?
Actually, it's what used to be the A186. This image shows the highway and what it used to look like back in 2011. This is what it looks like now. The A186 was an unfinished highway connection that was supposed to extend to the A86 a few kilometers east, but that never materialized. What was left was a bit of a stub or spur. In early 2019, the last cars rolled through this highway before it was closed for good in May of that same year. By October, demolition crews were tearing up the old highway to make room for an extension of the T1 tramway. To understand what the future vision is with this new tram, and what the old highway will look like in the years to come, we need to go back in time to the 80s and 90s. In the 1980s, France began a new era in its transportation policies. For the first time in decades, serious studies were being conducted about building tramways. The first tram to be built as part of this renaissance would be the T1 in the northern inner suburbs of Paris, not too far away from where the A186 was cutting the city of Montreuil in two. This tram was the first to try and answer two difficult questions. One, how do we move people laterally? And two, how do we do this cost effectively? These are the borders of the city of Paris. When most people think of Paris, this is what they're referring to. Around 2.2 million people live within the city limits. But most people that live in the broader Paris region live here, in the inner suburbs. This area is home to 4.5 million people and a bunch of different cities. Now, the Parisian metro system does a great job at interconnecting the city proper, but it underserves the inner suburbs. This leaves this zone more reliant on cars. Check out this graph. Folks that live in the inner suburbs choose cars as their form of transit much more than those that live within the city proper. One of the reasons why is because traveling between suburbs has become more prevalent as compared to traveling from the suburbs into the city. This is where the Paris region tramways have stepped in. Over the last 30 years, they've grown to 14 lines, 12 of which are totally outside the city proper. This includes the T1 tramway in the northern suburbs, along with other tram lines that are actually in the outer suburbs. Thanks to this decades-long investment, millions of riders now use these lines on a daily basis. This is the vibe that various local and regional authorities decided on over the last decade so that the T1 could be extended from its current terminus at Noisy-le-Sec all the way to Val-de-Fontenay. The new tramway route through this old highway will look something like this.
Looks nice.
A lot of highway plans from the 50s or 60s were these grandiose designs that tried to place a web of roads on top of an existing city. However, in some places, highway constructions began only to shortly stop because of lack of funds or local opposition, leaving some areas with an A186 style stub or spur. There's tons of these stubs in cities all over Europe and the US. A lot of places are now looking at these stubs as opportunities for redevelopment, just like Paris did with the A186. Here's just one example. In Pasadena, right next to the city center, is State Road 710.
That's where you
Now,
used to
if
be?
you look at it from above,
No.
you can kind of tell that there's something
Pasadena's
missing.
not far from Covina,
Oh.
but you have Pasadena, Arcadia, and Monrovia, which are really nice cities. A lot of college students there, and they have a botanic garden. LA would be further. Well, I guess that's the 10. Or,
But there's like, well, it's not that important.
Yeah, I
was
can't
just
forget.
wondering, that's
I used to live in LA County a long time ago, and LA is close to it. But then you have Covina, West Covina, and La Puente, Sousa, which are like, you know, you can't tell when you're leaving one city
Yeah.
into another. It's all connected. So,
just like what she's shown in the Paris. It's not really Paris. It's just suburbs and stuff, but like different towns and stuff. So.
yeah.
You've got this big junction of the 210 and the Ventura Freeway, and then when the 710 starts, it immediately stops, leading to a big empty plot. Now, this was never supposed to just be a stub. It was going to extend all the way to Long Beach as Interstate 710. Of course, this would have wiped out tons of housing and people, but luckily for the folks in Pasadena and South Pasadena, that never happened. Even until recently, the state was trying to finish this gap through billions of dollars of tunnels. Now, the city is back in control of the stub, and there's a chance to turn this into something useful, like housing. Paris has been in the news lately thanks
Why
to their
not?
push for people-centered urban planning policies. It goes without saying, but I think this transformation of the A186 into a tramway is inspiring, and more places should follow this example. If you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel.
Yeah, that's
As
good.
always,
Well, I'm gonna say they should go into more and more of public transport in America as well, because you can't really relying on the cars, or not you can, but I'm just saying, like, if everyone gonna get a car eventually, there will be no fucking space for anything else.
No.
So
A lot of pollution
and
too.
Yeah, especially in the old cities and towns of Europe like that, like Paris is there for more than 1,000 years at this stage. So it's impossible to be able to let everyone get in and out in the car. The traffic, they're already giving out about traffic in there, and they're blocking some people going in. Like Berlin, in the center of Berlin, unless you pay for the entry with the car, you can't drive in.
Which is a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
It should be nice to have
Really?
they have your cars parked outside the city and then take a tram there
Yeah.
or a subway.
That's what we did in Berlin last year, isn't it? Yeah.
Are you hungry?
Park and ride. It's hella early. It's hella early, Millie, for the food. What do you mean no?
Speak cat.
Yeah, Millie woke up and I think she just wants some loving. Or snacks. I don't think we have any snacks for her. We're waiting. They'll be coming soon though. No worries, Millie. Okay. Anyway, that was very good. I watched it because we are planning to go to Paris, so it's kind of like interesting. And I don't think we're gonna be as far as to actually see this part of the city.
Unless we get lost somewhere.
Outside.
We got lost in San Francisco.
Where? I don't remember.
We walked somewhere and I asked a local where the street was, and she said, way down there. Is it that direction? Yeah, okay.
I just don't remember that. Okay.
It's a curse.
It's a curse. Yeah,
I remember
don't know.
everything except what you tell me.
True too. Alright. Anything else to add?
No, nothing.
Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow and see you next week. Bye.